The Property Changer is the most powerful palette within AutoCAD. With it, we can modify or correct anything in our drawing. In this lesson, we're going to use the Property Changer to make some geometric changes to our objects. On my screen, I have two mechanical parts. Now, these guys are supposed to be identical. The part on the right has been drawn correctly, and the part on the left has got a few problems. The goal in this lesson is to correct the geometry of this part by using the Property Changer. Now, my Property Changer is anchored to the interface. If yours is not, you can always press Ctrl+1 to bring it up on screen. Since I'm going to be using this palette frequently in this lesson, I'm going to click the Auto Hide button to dock the palette to my screen. Notice the palette is filled with settings that are organized into groups. If we want, we can expand or collapse a group by clicking on these triangles. And it's important to note that the number of settings that we see will change depending on what we select. For instance, I'm going to click and select this circle. And if we look at the top of the palette, we can see that AutoCAD recognizes that I've selected a circle. For the work we'll be doing in this lesson, we'll be looking at the geometry group of settings. First of all, take a look at the settings that we have. Notice they're all specific to circles. If I want to change a value, I can click in the field. I'm going to click on radius, for instance. And from here, I can type a new value. I'm going to type 0.5 and I'll hit enter. And notice how my geometry changes instantly on screen. Take a look at some of the other things I can change. I could change the circle's diameter or circumference, or I could change its area. Notice that some of these settings are grayed out. If a setting is grayed out, it means that you cannot change the value. Now that we know how this works, let's assign the appropriate radius to the circle. Based on my example, I can see this radius should be 0.25. So I'm going to click in the radius field and I'll type 0.25, enter. Now that I'm finished, I'll hit escape to deselect my entity. All right, at this point, I have 3 more circles to correct. Let's see if we can do them all at the same time. I'm going to click on each of these circles. And if we look at the Property Changer, we can see AutoCAD recognizes I've selected 3 of them. Let's come down to the geometry group. Notice the radius setting says varies. That's because each of these circles has a different radius. No problem. I can still click in the field, and I'll set all of these to a radius of 0.25, and then I'll hit escape to deselect. Now let's correct the ellipse. I'll click to select this entity, and we can see that an ellipse has several more settings than a circle does. So I'm going to click on this slider, and I'll drag this down so we can see all of the geometry settings on screen. To fix this entity, I can see that the major axis of the ellipse is 4. So I'm going to come over and set the major radius to 2, and I'll hit enter. Then I'll come over and take a look at the minor axis. That's 3.25. Well, the minor radius will be half of that. And you know what? I don't like doing math in my head. Take a look at this. If I click in the minor radius field, there's a little calculator icon here. If I click this, it'll bring up AutoCAD's calculator on screen. Now, the calculator's coming up in a minimized state. So I'm going to click this more than button so I can see all of the functions. Then I'll press 3.25 divided by 2. I'll click equals. There's my answer. I'll come down and click apply, which applies that value to that setting. And my ellipse has been corrected. Now that I'm finished, I'll press escape to deselect my entity. And since I'm through with the Property Changer for now, I'm going to move up and click minimize to collapse this down to a single icon. Without a doubt, the Property Changer is the most valuable tool in our interface. As we continue to explore AutoCAD and learn to create more objects, keep looking to the Property Changer as a means of modifying anything on your screen.